Yes. So I love that you wanted to chat about nature's first aid kit, Judith. This is super exciting.
Well, excellent. I think it's a really important topic any time of year, but especially this time of year. What we saw last year was quite remarkable that people who had never been active before, suddenly, because they were locked down, locked out, their normal barbecues with steak and beer had all been canceled. And so they all took up biking and rollerblading and hiking and swimming and camping and all this kind of outdoor stuff. And I hesitate to think that they were all adequately prepared.
Right.
Right. And so I wanted to share some ideas, and we did upload a document to the Facebook group, but I wanted to share some ideas that are really, really practical and that are quite portable for, just throwing into a little dry sack or something like that, to throw in your backpack or in your canoe or wherever in the, above the sink in the camper, and have your first aid kit there and have it small, but have it be things that are actually going to be useful rather than like 3 little band-aids and a tube of polysporin.
And then always that giant gauze bandage that I'm like, no.
Right. Exactly. Right. It's like, what are you going to use that for? If you know how to use that, you probably are a registered nurse or a doctor from a trauma unit, right?
This is true.
So yeah, I just wanted to talk about some common things. And all of these things that we're going to talk about today are things that I've actually used in my family and used with us when we were camping or having fun and ended up with a little crisis and, had to figure out a way to make the holiday not end right then and there.
Right.
Right.
That's awesome. So this is your tried and true nature's first aid kit.
It is. And it was convenient. I mean, Nature Sunshine did create the handout that I posted, the document that I posted, but this is all stuff that I've used. One of them is quite new to the product line, but the rest of this stuff is stuff that I've been using for 10, 15, 20 years or more.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, let's dive in then. The first thing on the list as we're talking about this, actually, it's not even on. I'll hold that idea for just a second. We'll get there. And to me, this is so practical that it gets kind of exciting. Okay, so let's start with BioGuard. It says that it's a hand and body lotion, but it also has silver in it. Right. And it's a lovely, lovely, thick, creamy thing. And there might be other things like this on the market, right? Okay. Really good for skin irritation. Like if you've been out on your paddleboard or in your canoe and you've got some paddle rash going on, or, if you've, I don't know, if you chafe between your legs kind of thing, and you were wearing shorts and you got sweaty and that makes it worse. Or for me, the real bad one is I have to run in a t-shirt. If I run in a tank top, I will always chafe under my arms. I don't know what it is. Other people can do it. I can't. This takes, once you finish and you get home, you go, oh, I can't let my arms touch my sides. I have to walk bow-legged. I can't let my thighs rub. Yeah. This stuff will take the burnout, calm it down like in a matter of 30, 40 minutes.
Wow. Okay.
If I haven't tried it for this yet because we haven't got a grandbaby who's got this problem right now. I would love to use this for diaper rash.
Right. Yeah.
I think it would be so soothing for diaper rash. So just think of any skin irritation where it's chafed, it's rubbed raw, maybe you got some hot spots on your feet from your hiking boots and you're home at the end of the day and you're thinking, I don't have sandals that are loose enough to feel good. I would put this on those hot spots.
Okay, that's good to know. And honestly, for my own personal experience, the only time I've used a product that had silver in it was, I know we want to prevent that, but it was in a severe burn. And I'd been prescribed it for my face because I had such a severe burn after skiing. Yeah. So it's really neat that that would be a really great preventative way to use it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're going to do sort of a sidestep over to just pure silver in a gel format. And I love that you brought up burns. Got a couple of stories about this one. One of them, this product was just being launched. They hadn't actually released it to the Canadian market yet, but I had been sent a tube to experiment, to give testimonials and stuff for when they launched it. And I got an email from a client of mine who at the time lived in Strathmore. Her house had burned to the ground. And in the process of trying to get the kids out, she ended up with 3rd-degree burns on her feet.
Oh my gosh.
Right. I mean, we're talking, and she's active, and this was not good because now she pretty much couldn't even walk. Right. So she emailed me, and I had no idea this had happened. This is like 2 weeks after fact. And she says, the doctors are talking about skin grafts. Things are infected. We've done antibiotics. It's not working. Help. So I reached out. I get teary when I think of this story because of what happened. I reached out to Nature Sunshine, and this client of mine sent me the link to the newspaper article about her house burning down. I sent that to Nature Sunshine and said, I will pay whatever you want if you will send me about 5 tubes of this because my client needs it. They sent it to me for free.
Wow.
We just want her to have it. Just give it to her.
Wow.
So we got it to her. And she started putting it on. And so here we are, we're 2 weeks into the burns. Things are not healing. The doctors are talking the skin grafts. She starts putting the silver on. And the doctors are saying, you're like 4 weeks behind in healing and you're only 2 weeks into this injury. And
oh my God.
So, I mean, things were going the wrong way. She put this on and I said, I just want you to put this on and just keep putting it on. Keep your feet wet with this. Like, don't put bandages on if you can help it. Just keep it wet and keep it airing out. And when she went to see the doctor the next time, he said, I don't know what you are doing, but you are now where we would expect you to be at 6 weeks of healing.
Wow. That's amazing.
Right? I thought, holy doodle, this stuff is good. Another not nearly as dramatic story. We were on one of the only holidays we've had in our married life, and we had 3 of our kids with us. We were doing a road trip and we were camping along the way, and we'd done the research and we found really cool campgrounds that had fun things to do. So we found this one that had an amazing dock and a swimmable beach.
Okay.
So we were, cannonballing off this dock and having the time of our lives, but it was an old splintery dock, and I managed to get a splinter under my fingernail. The worst. The worst, the absolute worst. It hurt like heck, and it started to fester like within an hour or two. It was obviously not going to be good. Well, we were in the US. I didn't have travel insurance. I did not want a medical bill from the States. Right. That would have just turn around and go home. The holiday would have been over. But we had silver in the car. And so I kind of did my best to ease it under that fingernail and then just put a Band-Aid loosely on it to hold it in there. Did that for a day or two. And it was interesting because on about the second day, when I took the Band-Aid off, the splinter was on the Band-Aid. And, there's this big blob of pus with it. It was really gross and disgusting. And I just kept, packing this stuff in there. And within a day or two, it was completely healed over. It had totally drawn the sliver out, drawn out the infection, and we kept going on our holiday.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Sorry, I had to pop out of the rainstorm, so my apologies. I was on the move.
That's great. I'm glad you're dry. Now, if anyone dares to get sunburn, right? We all know aloe vera gel, right? It is amazing for sunburn, but if you've got a sunburn, you can do things to make your aloe vera gel even more powerful. I like to keep a whole bunch of empty the little spray top bottles around. And I'll put, about half full of aloe, put most of the rest of it with water. And then into that, I'll throw in a few drops of peppermint essential oil and a few drops of lavender. And shake it up really, really good and start spraying that on the burn and just keep spraying it. We've had our kids not listen when I've said put sunscreen on there. Not listen when I said put that t-shirt back on that body of yours, right? Yeah. And I mean, you do what you can, but sometimes they think, yeah, and what are you going to do? You can yell and
Exactly.
scream and ruin the holiday, or you can just let them ruin it with the sunroom, whichever comes first, right? But whenever that has happened, what we've done is we've taken the aloe vera, peppermint, lavender spritz and sprayed it on many, many times in the day. And every time, give it about 36 hours and it fades the burnout and we don't get that massive, nasty peeling. It
Mhm.
takes the sting out as well. So the kids can actually sleep at night.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, lavender and aloe and peppermint, those are easy things to keep in a first aid kit.
Definitely.
You know, so what I like to do for traveling with my oils, we're going to talk about a few more oils in just a minute. These fishing tackle boxes, they're like about $3 or $4 each. They're amazing for carrying essential oils.
Mm-hmm. That's brilliant.
You know, rather than throwing them into a bag or something like that, it keeps them from getting crushed. You know, your bottles aren't going to get broken or anything like that. And it takes everything right up to a 15 milliliter bottle or the teeny tiny, like 2 milliliter bottles.
Okay.
Right. So I think we got these probably in Walmart, somewhere like that, you know, just a store that would have Canadian Tire would have these as well. I'm kind of doing more shop Canadian than I am shopping in American now. And so I would go to Canadian Tire first. That's just my little political plug for the evening. Other things that you can use in your aloe or to help with skin problems, rashes or insect bites or scrapes or things like that, where things are just feeling a bit irritated. And you could actually mix these into the BioGuard, or you could mix them into aloe. And I would just put that little blob of whatever in my hand, put the essential oils with it and just mush it around and then apply it like that. You're not going to get out, you know, your fancy little stainless steel mixing bowl and mix this out. You know, I don't even do that at home, right? It's just in my hand on the body. And so tea tree oil. Right. Amazing for anything that looks like it might be getting infected. Bug bites or scrapes or things like that can be really good for those kinds of things. Certainly your lavender and your peppermint and frankincense is also really nice for little skin irritations and, you know, for bruises and for helping to heal things that aren't feeling quite right. Okay, so, and you can play with those, mix them up if you want, mix and match, you know, I mean, you're not making perfume. It doesn't matter what it smells like. You're really just going for healing benefits.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you're saying it's really free that way. There's no real composition like, oh, make sure you put in 5 drops of this and 3 of this. It's like, no, just kind of whip it together. And as long as you know it's got some of those healing properties, great. See what you come up with.
Absolutely. So, you know, if you're doing something that's a little runnier, like your aloe vera gel, I would go with a puddle at least the size of, well, about the size of a loonie.
Okay.
If any Americans are watching, that'd be the size of a silver dollar. And then you just want to put like 1 drop of your essential oil into that.
Okay.
Right. You do want to dilute these pretty significantly. Because if they are too concentrated, they can cause irritations in other directions.
Okay.
So you can always come back with another puddle of aloe and another drop of the oil, you know, 30 minutes later if you need to. But if you put in like 10 drops of oil and you've applied that, now the only way you're going to get that off your skin is to get something that's very oily, like literally some olive oil, and slather that on your body and wipe that around to lift that excess oil off.
Right. Which is not fun if you already have irritated skin that now you're trying to deal with rectifying a burn. Yeah. From the,
So I would rather go in very dilute, but frequently.
Okay.
Than overdoing it and going, oh no. Like we found out with our oldest daughter, we had been somewhere and she had gotten just bitten by mosquitoes. Like, oh my goodness, like the dinner bell rang for them that night. And it was bad. And I've always used a drop of tea tree on mosquito bites to take the itch out, right? We did that. She swelled up.
Oh,
we'd used this with her the year prior. There was no problem. We discovered that she is, I wouldn't say anaphylactic, but she is seriously allergic to tea tree. And
Wow.
so we were, when we put it on her leg and she had 5 or 6 mosquito bites and her whole leg started to swell, it was like, oh, where's the olive oil? I'll take grapeseed oil. I would even use canola oil or corn oil I don't care how cheap it is. I just want oil on that skin to try to lift that off.
Yeah.
Right. So always go in. You can always repeat it, but it's harder to undo.
Fair.
And that brings me to another point. All natural doesn't mean all safe.
Right.
Right. Some people can have really serious reactions, even to natural things. So if you've never used these before, experiment. Buy good quality. Like, don't buy your essential oils at the dollar store or at the big box discount stores. Buy them from a reputable supplier.
Okay.
So that they're not cut with something, how pure they are. You can get information about them, right? So important.
Right. And that sounds like, from what you're saying, that it might be a good tip to maybe trial a little drop here or there before you put together this kit and get out in the middle of nowhere, just to make sure you don't have any really adverse reactions.
Oh, that is a brilliant idea. Absolutely. With anything natural. And I would say, even if you're more of a pharmaceutical person and you're taking some meds with you, like Roboxacet, because you're prone to muscle spasms if you get overworked, things like that, I would say even those, test them at home. Because if you're on the side of a mountain and you're suddenly having some kind of a serious reaction, then you have no cell service.
Agreed. Yeah.
Right. So I think caution is a good thing, no matter what. All right. A bug repellent. We are coming into mosquito season. I haven't seen any yet, but with this hot weather, we're gonna,
and dampness.
Yeah, dampness. And you were just by, it looks like a pond or a river or something. Yes. And we've got things like that here in Calgary as well. Down in Fish Creek Park, they've got these catchment ponds for catching storm drain off. I call them mosquito nurseries because they're standing water. I know they get sprayed, which I'm not sure is good for anybody or anything. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. And so you're preventing flooding, but now you're breeding mosquitoes, and then you're making the environment really toxic to try to kill them. I don't think there's a win here. If you need to make a natural mosquito repellent, such a thing is doable. What you need to remember is these are not sweat proof. So they're going to need to be reapplied frequently. Like, probably if it's a hot, sweaty day like today was, you're probably going to be needing to put it on, like spritz it on, make it up in the little spritz bottle thingy and spritz it on like every 20 or 30 minutes, which on a hot day like today just could be cool and refreshing, right? And so with that, again, what you're going to do is you're going to take your spritz bottle, you're going to fill it mostly with water, put a little bit of witch hazel in it. Now, you buy witch hazel at the drugstore. It's used for the treatment of hemorrhoids and bruises. Okay. And why you need witch hazel in here is because when we add the essential oils to it, the witch hazel is going to help distribute the oils through the water.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're going to end up with the oil sitting on the top with oil slicks. And when you spray it, you've got the long tube. The bottom of that, you're only going to get water if you didn't put witch hazel in there. Does that make sense? Because the oil is floating on top. And Leanna, you just froze on me. All right. Are you coming back to me? You're frozen. All right. Well, I'm recording this so we can post it, so that's fine. I'll just keep going. So we've got the water, we've got a little bit of witch hazel, like about a teaspoon of witch hazel. And into that, if you want to be fighting off mosquitoes, things like lavender, tea tree oil, one of my favorite ones, lemongrass. Peppermint is another good one. You can combine all of those, make your favorite mosquito repellent perfume, right? And spray that on. And like I said, if it's a sweaty day, you want to be reapplying it frequently, because you might sweat it off, right? So that's a fabulous way to do the mosquito repellent thing, and can be it's natural. So that's kind of fun. You can also do that in aloe vera, mix them into some aloe vera in advance and just, again, put the aloe vera that has essential oils into your hand, smush that all over the place. It'll be lovely for your skin in so many ways. It'll feel so good. And so that would be another thing that you can do. A lot of people, when we get this beautiful weather and they head out for the very first time, they overdo it and they come back and they are sore and stiff, or maybe not that day they're not sore and stiff, but over the next few days they can get pretty uncomfortable. And that's where the Everflex Analgesic Cream comes in. So this has got the aromatic kind of oils in it with wintergreen and things like that. So good for getting in, but this also has MSM and glucosamine in it to really penetrate and help to take down the inflammation. So I really like this for those joints that are maybe talking to me and not saying nice things if I've hiked too hard, or if I've run too hard and my muscles are feeling a little bit, then this is another good thing. If I've been digging in the garden for too long and maybe my shoulders and my back are a little bit sore, this is a really nice thing to rub in several times on an as needed basis to help penetrate and take some of that ache and pain away as well. Now, some people also find that because this has MSM in it, methylsulfonylmethane, there will be a spelling test, that this is also good for an afterbite. So if you've been bitten by mosquitoes, you can take a dab of this, rub it on, and some people find that it gives relief from that. So that's really cool. If you need something a little bit deeper for sore muscles or bruises or things like that, the Typhoo Recovery Massage Lotion is lovely and aromatic and really penetrates. Similar to things, you see things called Icy Hot or Tiger Balm, only quite a bit stronger. Really does a great job of penetrating deeply to help reduce pain, but also to stimulate circulation, to bring the circulation in, to help carry out the metabolic debris that is causing that inflammatory response that is making you stiff and sore. So I love Typhoo. When I'm doing a half marathon, for instance, I will often pre-treat with this. So as we're getting ready to start the run, I will apply Typhoo to the muscles that I know I'm going to be feeling for the next day or two, right? Especially if I'm planning on running hard and really racing it rather than just running it for fun. I will apply this to the muscles that I know will have something to say to me. And it does a great job of helping to ease some of that. Oh, we're glad you're back. Leanne is coming back to us. You're muted, sweetie.
I'm sorry. That was bizarre. My phone literally overheated and booted me off. It turned off.
Oh my goodness. Probably because you got it in the sun.
Yeah, well, and right now I'm like sitting in an AC, so I had to log on to my other phone, and I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta just reboot everything. It just shut right off, and I've never had that happen from that kind of overheating. So here we are talking summer, and I guess my phone just went into emergency mode of its own.
Do not apply aloe vera to your phone. Just saying.
Okay.
So we did keep going. We just kept talking.
Awesome. I knew you would. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you can listen to the replay. We'll post it later. Stomach comfort. This is great. If you're eating things that you shouldn't be eating because it's summer and but what else are you going to do, right? Whether it's the steak with the beer or, you're having ice cream or we sometimes get sloppy on potato chips and pop and things like that. And sometimes we can end up with an upset stomach or with a bit of reflux. The stomach comfort is our answer to Tums.
Okay.
So instead of having ingredients in it that are not good for you, this has ingredients that will help to settle your stomach. It's got herbs and a little bit of calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate puts the fire out. I don't like calcium carbonate for anything else except as an antacid, but then it's got some herbs in it like papaya and things like that to help actually get the digestion started again, to get things moving through.
Okay.
And it's tasty, it doesn't taste bad. So
Hmm.
if you've got a child who has an upset stomach, maybe they got too excited about this barbecue that they haven't been able to, have a party like this in 2 years, or
Mhm.
maybe they've never had one because they would have been just old enough to start enjoying barbecues when we got locked down. They're getting
Exactly.
excited about having their first, I don't know, church picnic or something like that. You could certainly keep this on hand to help
Okay.
with any tummy upsets.
And is it kind of like take one or two, see how you feel, or just depends?
Yeah, you chew down one or two, see how you feel. And if you need to do a couple more a little while later, it's perfectly fine to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. I think this has slippery elm in it as well. Calcium carbonate, papaya, slippery elm, which is very, very soothing. A little bit of ginger, which we know is great for digestion, a bit of licorice root, and a bit of wintergreen. Licorice is also very much a digestive herb,
Mhm.
and a whole bunch of other things as well. So just a really lovely, gentle way of calming things down in the digestive.
Okay. Excellent.
I don't know anybody who likes to have a summer cold.
No.
No. Yeah, a winter cold is bad enough, but at least in the winter, if you're feeling lousy, you can cuddle up with a cup of tea, like a herb tea and a blanket, and sit by the fireplace and just feel all cozy. But when it's hot like it was today, 30 above, you
Yeah.
don't want a tea. You certainly don't want a blanket. You just want to feel good.
Hmm.
So echinacea with golden seal extract
Okay.
is a fabulous first aid for helping to fight off colds or any other kind of infection. And again, it's a small bottle, small enough to throw in the first aid kit and just take it. Seriously, it's not just for colds. When you look at what echinacea and golden seal do, they work to support and nurture the immune system, to get
Hmm.
the immune system fighting appropriately so that your body can overcome whatever the infection is.
Right. And if unless I could be mistaken, but that's largely some of the complex in cold FX, isn't it? That became like the big trendy, everyone buying up cold FX everywhere. I'm pretty
Yeah, I
sure it
think
has
they
that
have a
root.
lot of echinacea. They might have also
Yeah.
had some ginseng in that one, if I remember.
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
So yeah, pretty much. I mean, echinacea has been around forever, and so has golden seal, and they're both tried and tested and true, and they just work.
Okay. So similar to what you're sharing with your daughter, granted that was more of a topical reaction, but I'm pretty sure in the past I've found that I react to echinacea. So if that's something I couldn't take, should I just try the golden seal on its own, or is there something you would suggest maybe in concert with the golden seal?
You probably won't find golden seal on its own. On its own,
Okay.
it's extremely expensive, and
Okay.
so you likely won't find it. If you're fighting an infection, or you feel like you're fighting an infection, and an echinacea or golden seal, either or, are not go-tos for you, I would probably go really simple, something like garlic.
Okay.
Right? Maybe some garlic. If it's going sinusy, maybe some slippery elm with that.
Oh, okay.
Right. Slippery elm is good for the mucous membranes. Some fenugreek and thyme is a nice combination as well. Now, these are not liquids, these are capsules or tablets. But the
Okay.
fenugreek and thyme, again, another great combination for killing infection and keeping mucus really loose so that nothing gets stuck.
Okay.
There's a lot of things that we can do. Astragalus is one of my favorite Chinese herbs because it both supports the immune system and it supports the adrenal glands.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Right. So it's a lovely one when I'm working with a client, whether it's summer first aid stuff or not. If I'm thinking, oh, they're under a lot of stress, and my intuitive feeling is their immune system might be starting to struggle a bit, I will take them to astragalus.
Okay.
Some
Good
people, I
to
think, call it astragalus. I'm not sure which way is the right way to pronounce it.
Okay.
Last but not least on your form is the CBG extract, which is, again, a liquid. And this has got black cohosh, chickweed, golden seal, brigham tea, licorice, passion flower, and valerian. So when we think about this, we can think of this as being good for infection fighting as well. And it's especially good for fighting infections in people who have gotten wound up.
Ah, okay.
So, if they're stressed, if they're feeling tense, and we need to kind of do two things at once, calm them down and fight an infection, the CBG is an excellent way to do that. We used to use CBG, well, we still do. I just don't seem to have as many little kids in my practice anymore. But we used to use a lot of it in their ears for ear infections because it would help to dilate the eustachian tube, liquefy the mucus, and get it draining to literally get rid of the cesspool that was allowing the infection to build.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Excellent.
It's part of a great program for preventing ear tube surgery.
Mm-hmm.
I can't legally say that out loud.
And so just being unfamiliar with the product, is it more, it's like a thicker than kind of, did you say like a?
No, it's an alcohol extract. It's really thin.
Oh, okay.
So if we're putting something like that in the ears, we're going to put the liquid in, and then we're going to put a cotton ball behind it.
Okay.
So, and the cotton ball will absorb a lot of it, but will also hold it against those ear tissues.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Excellent. And then for other purposes, then, as you were saying, is it just more topical? Like you would put it wherever the infection is, like it's just something you would apply, or?
Oh, that's a great question. This is one that you would use more for internal infections rather than topical infections. So with your BioGuard lotion, for instance, that would be for topical infections. If and your silver gel can be used topically and orally.
Oh,
yeah, I've eaten it myself many a time, and I've given it to clients and said, put this in your mouth. So that can go both ways. But the CBG is mostly about topical. Mostly about internal oral. You could use it topically. That combination of herbs is not one that's going to be, in my opinion, as effective topically, though.
Okay.
So aside from having these ingredients on hand, of course, depending on where this first aid kit is going to be used, if it's going to be primarily at home, Epsom salts are a really good thing to have on hand.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to, for example, do some kind of a soak, for example, maybe you've overdone it and you need to have a soak in the tub to kind of relax the muscles, and you want essential oils in there, you always want to put the oils on the Epsom salts first, stir them in really well, and then throw that in the tub.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, because if you just take your oils and just dump them into the tub, you end up with oil slicks. Right? But if you put it on Epsom salts or sea salts or Celtic salts or whatever salts, heavens, you can use powdered milk. You can mix it into a little bit of honey and throw that under the hot running water to dilute the honey and disperse it.
Ooh.
If you've got sour milk, you can mix it in with the sour milk.
Okay.
And just, again, you're going to have little curdly floaties in the water, but oh well, at least this is going to disperse, right? And so you want something like Epsom salts. Epsom salts, again, for soaking in. The magnesium that's in Epsom salts is really good for relaxation and for drawing out lactic acid and things like that. So that's a good thing to have in your first aid kit. Hydrogen peroxide.
And sorry, just to step back to that for 1 second, is there anything we need to look at when purchasing Epsom salts, like about just things to know on the label, or is it kind of like it doesn't really matter? We can go to any run-of-the-mill drugstore, grab some cheap Epsom salt, and that's good to go.
Perfect. Cheap is fine.
Okay.
Yeah, because Epsom salts are, I'm not even sure where they come from, but I just buy the cheapest one I can find.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, totally random thing, but I was actually at Winners a while back, and I don't know why, but they had the most ridiculous sized quantity I've ever seen, just a giant bag of kilos and kilos of it. It was something like 10 kilograms that I'm like, I don't know if it was intended, to maybe go to some commercial place, but they were selling it and it was dirt cheap. So that's another great place to look for people looking for a decent quantity of it when they have it. So
absolutely, that is a good idea. And you never know when you're going to when or where you'll find a great deal like that.
Mm-hmm.
Hydrogen peroxide is another good thing to have in a first aid kit, just to disinfect, to clean things out. It can be very helpful. And of course, your regular Band-Aids, gauze, scissors, a tensor bandage of some sort. The non-stick first aid pads, the Telfa pads, really good, because I remember as a little kid, when I was little, we didn't have non-stick pads. And if you scraped your knee, and if mom was going to put something like that, to keep the dirt out of your knee, it always stuck to the wound. It almost hurt more. Like, it was like, I don't want a Band-Aid, but everybody likes Band-Aids. I don't want a Band-Aid. Ripping it off hurts for where the tape is, and then the gauze would stick, and it was just not nice. So get the non-stick pads. Steri strips. Important, depending on what kind of a gash you've got. You can use the Steri strips as, often they will use them instead of stitches for certain things, right? Just to hold a wound together so it can heal. And of course, some kind of a surgical tape, a first aid tape to hold things on and together. So we don't want to forget those basic supplies while we're stocking our first aid kit with all of the other things.
Oh, that's great. And I love that we covered some of those, the different creams we could put on. And is there anything you would say, Judith, like if we're just feeling, as much as I know we're heading into summer and it's a bit more humid, thinking about dry skin just in general, is there anything we need to look for in more of a basic lotion if it's something we're applying, whether it be just something we want to add to it to make it more beneficial, or just like certain ingredients that would be beneficial for it to have in it, the way it's sold commercially?
So are you thinking of just like a hand lotion kind of a purpose, or body
Yeah,
lotion?
I think I was envisioning, so like outside the purpose of first aid, just in general, when we even think about some of that preventative piece of between both hand lotion or even just overall body, when you're feeling like your skin's parched and you're dry and you're looking to kind of just moisturize. I just wanted to ask, because it hasn't really come up ever in the conversations we've had, and I didn't know if you might have some tips that way.
So Nature Sunshine has an amazing hand and body lotion. Like, I use it as my facial moisturizer.
Oh, wow.
It is amazing. It's unscented, which I love. I don't like my lotions to be smelly. If I want them to smell like something, I'll choose the smell. Thank you very much. Right. And so they've got this beautiful, beautiful hand lotion that soaks in so well. It's not greasy. It's just lovely. Barring that, if I wasn't going to use that, what I've done in the past is aloe vera with just a drop of lavender added to it.
Okay.
Right. Aloe vera was Cleopatra's beauty secret. Right. This is moisturizing. It just is. And so a good quality aloe vera gel, like the Nature Sunshine one, drop of lavender in that, and on it goes. You want to massage it in fairly well.
Okay.
It is a little bit astringing, which means if you leave it really wet on the skin as it dries, it's going to, astringe and tighten everything up. And then you're not going to smile for a week. But it's going to feel really tight. So if you massage it in well, and actually, you can use this in your hair. If your hair is feeling sun damaged, after you've shampooed and conditioned, little aloe, again, you could use some lavender in that, massage that together, massage it into your hair before you do whatever else you're going to do.
Okay. Wow. Well, that's impressive. And I think it's neat that you said that about the making sure we really rub it in well, because I've definitely experienced that where, and granted, I don't know that it was the greatest quality, so that I felt more like a stickiness that is just sort of irritating, right? When you're like, okay. And in most cases, when I reflect on it, it was more of a burn, but you didn't need that added effect of feeling like it was sticking all over you either. So
absolutely. Absolutely. And so that's why with a burn, we do the sprays, right? So that, and have it diluted with water and things like that. But for moisturizer, your aloe vera gel will do as well.
Perfect. Okay. Awesome. Well, I think we covered a ton, and I'm really grateful for the visual as well to go with it. That's a great guide for anybody. Any sort of parting thoughts of maybe a tip for summer or things you'd like people to be mindful of as they're assembling this? Because I think it's really lovely what you suggested. And I love that it could be so personalized. People can put their scents in, they can create that composition of what they want in some of those products, and it's still going to be really effective, and it's affordable. So I think that's great.
Yeah, I would just, again, stick with the idea of choose things that you know you will use.
Okay.
Like, you don't need everything that we've talked about. You know, if you know you're going to be overdoing it physically, I don't know that I would put both of these in. Well, I would, because I'm OCD that way. But, you know, you might get away with just the Typhoo massage lotion.
Yep.
Right. And so you maybe don't need both of them. You might find that, that, you know, on the lotion end of things, that you want to travel light, and you're thinking, well, I'm not going to use it in my mouth. So maybe you only need the BioGuard hand and body cream.
Right.
Because it's got the silver in it. Maybe you don't need both of these.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe you prefer the versatility of this, where you can use it anywhere, anytime, no matter what. You know, so just think, I would encourage people to think carefully about what their activities are and what their own personal preferences are,
mm-hmm.
so that they can choose things that would really meet their needs, should they need a first aid kit. Or and don't let these go out of date because they're just sitting in your first aid kit.
Mm-hmm.
Choose things that you will use anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you like tubs, and you like lavender, then absolutely get the lavender, but make sure you get the Epsom salts and something to dilute your lavender into. So you've got your Epsom salts for the bathtub use, and you've got your allergen for topical use, for instance.
Right.
Right.
Awesome. I love it. And you'd given us a tip about just maybe trying those things in moderation a little bit, see how it goes, reapply frequently, and everyone should be set.
I would hope so. And I hope everyone has a fabulous, safe, and healthy summer.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And to you as well, Judith.
Thank you. We will talk to you again real soon.
Absolutely. Take care.
You bet. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.